the White House counsel, that doesn't apply to people, outside of the administration. I think that there may be some things that were subpoenaed from Giuliani that touch on attorney-client privilege if they were communications that he had with the president. But otherwise, it's up to Giuliani to decide whether he's going to be complying with a congressional subpoena.
Would you urge him to cooperate and comply with a legitimate subpoena?
Well, it's definitely not my place to urge him about complying with the subpoena. That's something that he has, if he retains another lawyer, as you pointed out, they'll have to decide that or deal with Congress in their own way or have to go to court if the subpoena is going to be enforced or if Congress tries to hold it in contempt. These are all decisions that Giuliani will have to make.
So I'm trying to understand the White House, specifically the White House's strategy here as well, because the White House counsel, as you know, for whom you worked until recently, has taken what to layman seems like the same view. This is an illegitimate inquiry. We don't have to comply with anything. And yet people who are in the administration still are testifying,
I got a bag of chips in my car.
Complying with subpoenas, producing documents when asked. Is the White House doing anything to try to stop them?
The White House has been clear on its position that in the past, when impeachment inquiries have been opened, there's been certain processes that everyone has agreed to, whether it was Nixon with a Democrat Congress,
that stuff's on the outside.
Republican
yeah,
Congress.
That's on the outside.
There's been a 4-vote opening, a formal inquiry. And then most importantly, in both cases,
really cool.
de minimis
due
process rights reported to both President Nixon and to Clinton.
Last time I thought some of the stickiness was on the inside. Nope. All that streaking and stickiness right there, that's on the outside of the car. Well, the difference leaving 3 minutes makes. Apparently everybody leaves the house at like 7 on the dot. Which means that if I leave at 7:50 or later, I get screwed. In this lane, I got my turn signal on. Don't you be honking at me.
As best we can, and we intend to go forward and not participate.
Mr. Groves, thanks for your insights. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Steve.
Stephen Groves is a special assistant to the President of the United States. NPR White House correspondent Franco Ordonez has been listening along with us. And Franco, what do you hear there?
Well, I mean, he's following the administration line. He's talking about, that the administration is not going to cooperate with what it sees as a sham investigation, criticizing Pelosi and Democratic leadership of giving out subpoenas like hotcakes. But I found it interesting that, he, said that the administration won't cooperate, or at least the White House won't cooperate. But as you pointed out, we're finding out that many members of the administration are sitting down for these interviews.
And the White House is only going so far to try to stop them. We haven't had court battles over the testimony of various U.S. diplomats, for example.
No, exactly. I mean, this has been very, very fascinating. Particularly, we have Sondland coming up. We just had Volker. We have McKinley coming tomorrow.
Franco Ordonez, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Authorities in Fort Worth shared more details yesterday about the killing of a top gun in Texas. She's the 28-year-old black woman shot by a white police officer.
how would somebody react to hearing a potential prowler outside their home at 2:30 in the morning?
Creating unnecessary risk or escalating a conflict, he says that's the kind of thing that he sees more often from inexperienced officers who are often stuck on overnight shifts. The officer in Fort Worth had been on the job only a year and a half, but even if he lacked experience, he likely did have extensive training, according to Kim Vickers. Vickers is the executive director of the Texas Commission on Law Enforcement, and he says the officer is sure to have had training in de-escalation and
were the inappropriate questions from coworkers.
Everybody wonders what's in our pants.
Nowhere does this get more personal than the bathroom. For transgender populations, bathrooms are places associated with uncomfortable staring, harassment, and even violence. They've also been at the center of political controversy. 3 years ago, North Carolina passed a law requiring people to use bathrooms corresponding to their assigned gender at birth. That law was struck down. But Mark Larson says bathrooms remain a hot-button issue for employers and for coworkers who don't feel comfortable sharing bathrooms with transgender people. Larson is director of human resources at Allies for Health and Well-Being, a community health clinic. He recently participated in an online discussion with other HR executives about making the workplace gender neutral.
Good 60, if not more percent of the conversation was about bathrooms.
At the time, Larson says he was rethinking his company's restroom policies. In the process, he was also educating himself about the sensitivities of people who are gender non-binary.
I quote unquote forced myself to go into what was the women's bathroom, and I realized it doesn't matter.
Larson realized a bathroom is just a bathroom. He ended up relabeling them simply restroom and restroom with urinals. From a worker's perspective, this change can signal acceptance. For Joshua Byron, it's a central emotional issue.
Bathrooms, God. Yeah, that's a big one.
Byron's current workplace offers gender-neutral bathrooms, but many do not. And for Byron, things like restroom labels and dress codes become a litmus test for how their manager might react, how strictly masculinity might be enforced. But changing long-held gender paradigms isn't easy. The terms used by non-binary people can be difficult to understand. In fact, it can be confusing even for people who identified as non-binary. Take Mish DePiro. DePiro prefers they and them pronouns, but this is where it gets complicated. DePiro recently met someone who used both female and non-binary pronouns. DePiro stumbled in conversation, interchanging they, them, she, and her.
I don't think they took offense, but it was an embarrassing moment for myself.
DePiro is 25 and works as a teacher in Seattle. Among middle school students, DePiro says gender norms have already changed. One student recently called DePiro by the wrong pronoun.
They felt like, oh, this is something that I grew up with that I should know not to mess up.
And as young people join the workforce, they will likely keep pushing for workplace culture to change even more. Yuki Noguchi, NPR News, Washington.
And if you want some tips on navigating a diverse workplace, NPR's Life Kit has a story for you, which is on npr.org. It's NPR News.
You are listening to Morning Edition on 89.3 WFPL. Thank you for being with us this morning, and when you're with us this afternoon for All Things Considered, for the latest headlines of the moment, you'll also hear more about the presidential debate in Ohio last night. Of course, only one candidate will face President Trump next year, so we'll analyze how the candidates did. That is during All Things Considered this afternoon from 4 to 6 with Jonice Franklin.
16th.
Support for 89.3 WFPL comes from Via Studio, specializing in brand strategy, brand identity, complex website projects, and marketing. Via Studio helps companies grow by connecting them to people, storytelling through branding, design, and technology. Project conversations can be arranged at viastudio.com. From Bernheim Arboretum and Research Forest, presenting the 23rd Annual Color Fest October 19th and 20th, an outdoor fall festival for all ages with hay rides, pumpkin launch, live music, local artists, food, and more. Details at bernheim.org.
It's currently 51 at 7:30. Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Dave Mattingly. Despite pressure from the White House and Republican lawmakers, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is dismissing calls for a formal House vote to authorize the Democrats' ongoing impeachment
to cancel her live speech after pan-democratic lawmakers wearing black chanted slogans heckled her down from the podium. Lam delivered her address by video instead. She has lost broad public support after more than 4 months of anti-government protests sparked when she proposed a Hong Kong extradition bill.
Dow futures are down 56 points this morning. This is NPR News from Washington. NASA says its first all-female spacewalk will take place tomorrow or Friday instead of next week outside the International Space Station. Engineers say the failure of a lithium-ion battery charger is prompting a more immediate spacewalk. The Washington Nationals are heading to their first World Series. Last night, the Nats beat St. Louis 7-4 to complete a 4-game sweep of the Cardinals in the National League Championship Series. NPR's Tom Goldman says Washington scored all its runs in the first inning and held on from there.
The first 2 rounds of Washington's increasingly special postseason were nervous affairs. The Nats needed late-inning comebacks to win the do-or-die wildcard game in the division series. First-inning runs much of last season with an injured Achilles tendon. The Nats' breakthrough into their first World Series follows recent playoff underachieving. They lost in the division series 4 times in the last 7 years. Tom Goldman, NPR News.
The Nationals will play either the New York Yankees or Houston Astros in the World Series. The Astros lead the Yankees 2-1 in the American League Championship Series. Game 4 is tonight at Yankee Stadium. I'm Dave Mattingly in Washington. You are listening to Morning Edition on 89.3 WFPL. The president of NBC News said a rebuttal to Ronan Farrow over the network's handling of Matt Lauer and the failure to broadcast reporting on Harvey Weinstein. NBC staffers are asking tough questions. We'll tell you more about the situation facing NBC News coming at 7:45.
They might not be old enough to vote, but they're definitely paying attention. Every night when I listen to the news and I hear like another shooting has gone on, it's horrifying.
Just having people talking about it, I think, is a really good start.
Everything we see in the news like makes us really angry. So we really want to take a stand in this.
One vote could literally be the difference between a country together and a country falling apart.
This year, we're listening to the young people in our community. It's the next Louisville. From 89.3 and the Community Foundation of Louisville.
Showers possible over the next couple of hours, otherwise clearing eventually today with mid-50s for a high. Right now it's 51 at 7:34.
Support for NPR comes from this station and from Capterra for helping people find the right software for their business. From applicant tracking to workflow software, visitors can access more than 1 million software reviews and compare products. More at Capterra.com. And from the financial services firm of Raymond James, offering personalized wealth management advice and banking and capital markets expertise, along with a legacy of putting clients' financial well-being first. Learn more at RaymondJames.com. It's Morning Edition from NPR News. I'm Rachel Martin.
And I'm Steve Inskeep. Turkey's president is not responding as the United States might hope to calls for a ceasefire. President Trump first cleared the way for a Turkish invasion of northeastern Syria and then urged Turkey to stop. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan told reporters yesterday, quote, "We will never declare a ceasefire." Today, Erdogan said Turkey would stop its military operations, but only if Syrian Kurdish fighters flee a border region by tonight. A U.S. delegation led by Vice President Pence has been ordered to visit Turkey. Jane Iraq is covering from the nearby Kurdistan region of Iraq. Jane, hi there.
Hi. So this is genuinely a humanitarian crisis across the border in Syria. It was already vulnerable, and now aid groups have pulled out, saying it's just too dangerous to work there. That means that clinics are closed, food distribution has been slowed or halted, water is in short supply. There are people massing at the Syrian side of the border trying to get across to the Iraqi side, and some of them have walked days to safety. So all of this, of course, is in the space of just a few days as Turkish forces advanced and U.S. forces withdrew. One European aid worker we talked to told us, we planned for several contingencies, but we never planned for them to happen all in the space of a few days.
Okay, so you said people in Syria are fleeing toward the border with Iraq, the country where you are. What do you see, what do people see when they go to that border and look around?
An NPR team at the border this week met families desperate to cross over to Iraq, and not everyone is allowed to. There was an extended family of more than 20 people, including water problems are particularly concerning near the border.
So not only do you have people being displaced with very little, because nobody was prepared, I think, to this eventuality, but also they're going into an area where access to water is heavily restricted, and that's on top of the fact that many of the humanitarian organizations that were working in the area have either had to reduce or suspend their activities.
So a lot of those aid workers have flooded over here to Iraq to sit it out, basically, in border towns. They're waiting to see if they can go back, but they're not expecting to be able to soon.
Jane, thanks for your reporting. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
That's NPR's Jane and Roth.
There are startling revelations in Ronan Farrow's new book, Catch and Kill. Excerpts of the book were released a week ago, including more details about the systemic abuse carried out by Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein. Farrow writes that Weinstein's enablers include Farrow's own former bosses at NBC News. NPR's David Folkenflik reports that NBC's top news executives are now under siege.
On Monday, NBC News President Noah Oppenheim called Ronan Farrow's book Catch and Kill a smear, a lie, and a conspiracy theory.
I'm not here any later than I normally am. Traffic was good to this area, but I guess the rain has everybody acting a fool. This is not normal traffic at 7:38 a.m. on Mulberry in E-Town, at least from my experience for the past month.
Many NBC News staffers have had in their leaders, according to two veteran NBC journalists. Rich McHugh was a supervising producer for the NBC News investigative team. He collaborated closely with Farrow.
It doesn't make any sense that you'd let one of the biggest stories of the year, if not more, walk out the door like an investigation we've spent so many thousands of dollars on, just go, bye-bye, and we're going to go to the New Yorker, put the ball on our reporting.
McHugh tells NPR that news executives ordered them to stand down, to stop reporting, before telling Farrow he could go elsewhere with the story. McHugh ultimately left the network. I told him NBC would not leave interviews for this story. NBC News employee Andrew Lack rejected Farrow's account in a statement last Wednesday. News President Noah Oppenheim held sessions with staffers Thursday, and citing citizens, saying the roster was among those asking. On Monday morning, Oppenheim issued a memo telling Farrow omitted, distorted, and lied about key facts. Oppenheim cited timestamped emails and texts in an earlier review conducted by the chief attorney for NBC's parent company. Oppenheim argued the story wasn't ready, that NBC did not wilt in the face of threats. But McHugh asks, why did NBC work so hard to discredit when the reporters turned up, and failed to find ways to get their story ready for prime time? Monday night, MSNBC primetime host Chris Hayes spoke out.
My own news organization is embroiled in a very public controversy over its conduct.
And then he told viewers this.
One thing, though, is indisputable. Ronan Farrow walked out of NBC News after working on the Weinstein story, and within 2 months, published an incredible article at The New Yorker that not only won a Pulitzer, but helped trigger a massive social and cultural reckoning that continues to this day.
Hayes argued that NBC News followed the path of least resistance. NBC is owned by the huge media conglomerate Comcast. Since Friday, I've repeatedly asked a senior Comcast spokeswoman, do Lack and Oppenheim, the top executives at NBC News, still enjoy the full confidence of their bosses? More than 4 days later, no word back. David Folkenflik, NPR News, New York.
NPR News.
You are listening to Morning Edition on 89.3 WFPL. After 9/11, the CIA ramped up its counterterrorism operations with an infusion of young recruits, many of them women.
I had been placed in the counterterrorism center, not because I was spectacular, but because I was young.
Now 3 of these women have written books about their secretive work. We'll take a closer look at their work coming up in just about 2 minutes.
Support for 89.3 WFPL comes from Dairy Care Food Bank. 1 in 7 of your neighbors in Kentucky and a dozen get enough to eat to live a healthy life. Dairy Care works to meet the need for food in our community, but they need your help.
Lot's full
Donate.dairycare.org.
Wednesday morning.
From Walden School, offering a K-12 experience.